So are you ready to PR yourself? We'll remove the mystery from all things PR and we'll discuss everything from our top strategies to tips and tricks and everything that you can utilize to further enhance your brand or your message. I've been in media, I'm a journalist, and I'm also a publicist. I am Leah Frazier, CEO of Think3 Media, and your host for PR Yourself with Leah Frazier. Let's go. Thank you guys so much just for being such amazing and faithful listeners to PR Yourself with Leah Frazier and rocking it with us from season 1 to now season 3. We have listeners from all over the world just trying to figure out ways to gain better publicity for their brands and for their businesses. And you guys just make me so, so proud. Keep tagging us on social media. We are sharing it out when you're doing your Instagram reels, when you're getting your media mentions and your press mentions, when you're on TV. Keep tagging me in those. Tag our co-host that always comes on, Kiana McDaniel, in those Instagram reels, and let us celebrate you. But before we get into the episode, I do want to tell you guys that you're going to want to get this free gift. This is my free gift to you for 2021. This is something that I normally charge for. So I want you to head to pryourselfwithleahfrazier.com/course. And on that page, you're going to find that you have a freebie, and it is my how to gain press and media mentions during a crisis. We're still in the middle of a global pandemic, and our TV stations, our radio stations, our press and media are still operating in the same mindset that they were last year. So it's still very relevant info, but I want to give that to you for free. You know how I am. I'm all about education. So bring that pen, bring that paper, and I want you guys to jot down all of the little nuggets and put it to use. I want you guys putting yourselves out there and getting the publicity you need for your businesses and brands for 2021. Okay. And pay attention. You're going to want to listen to these episodes. You're going to want to sign up for the email list at pryourselfwithleahfrazier.com because I am launching a 14-day Pitch It Afraid challenge where you will get a video and advice from me, actionable tips from me every single day to build up a plan to where you can pitch, whether it's media, whether it's sponsorships, whether it's collaborations, whatever it is you want to do, you're going to be able to pitch it at the end of that 14 days. Okay. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. So you're going to want to sign up now, or if you have any questions, reach out to me, pryourselfwithleahfrazier.com, but you're not going to want to miss the kickoff because I just have a feeling so many people are going to be blessed by this, and I am excited. So thank you guys for tuning in. Visit pryourselfwithleahfrazier.com/course. Get your free gift. If you can't get to the web, then you can go to the link in my bio on my personal Instagram at the Leah Frazier or on PR Yourself Podcast on Instagram, and your free gift is in that link in that bio as well. Do not miss out on this opportunity. I'm so excited. Let's get it for 2021. And now here's the episode.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of PR Yourself with Leah Frazier. Hope everybody is having a fantastic week. I have a legal superstar here today. She's amazing. She teaches my students at University of Texas at Dallas all of the ways that, pardon my French, you shouldn't fuck up your business. Except, she puts the asterisks and stuff like that. But I'm just going to say it because I'm going to tell it like it is. So I would like to welcome my personal legal guru, Jessica Vittorio, to the show.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. I feel like that meme. It's like I'm not worthy and I'm just going to bow down if you were here.
You totally are. I'm so excited that you're here because it's so funny because when this podcast first started, people just thought it was going to be a bunch of media personalities, news anchors, journalists. And I'm like, no, public relations and publicity entails so many different avenues that if you don't brand yourself correctly, or if you don't take into consideration all of these facets, that's going to be the stuff that brings you bad press, bad PR.
Yeah. Then you have to hire one of those people you
then you have
on here. I'd hire you hopefully before the bad stuff hits.
Well,
that's always my goal.
Don't do that. So
it's just like a lawyer, right? It's like you want to engage with someone before any of the bad stuff happens. You can only, well, I'm sure you could clean up a lot more than I can as a lawyer, but
that's why you're here today. because
to avoid it.
exactly, I'm pretty sure in your line of business, people have come to you and they have set their businesses up, or some entrepreneurs that have gotten into some really sticky investor relations or maybe pseudo partnerships. And they're
Yeah.
like, Jessica, oh my God, I need you to help me in this situation. And it really could be, especially if it's made public by any sorts of means, it could really get you into some trouble. So I want you to introduce yourself so everybody knows why you're the legal badass that you are. And then we're going to get into some ways that some of you small business owners are setting yourself up for some crisis management issues. So go
I
ahead,
love
Jessica.
it. So, my name is Jessica Vittorio. I always get so awkward introducing myself. It's like I forget everything about myself. But I own a law practice based here in Dallas that specializes in startup and technology law, really any early to mid stage business. I probably have a client that does it. But I always think of startup law as corporate law in jeans. It's pretty much corporate law, but a little more casual. Not necessarily substantively, but just the culture and the general demeanor of the practice. And in addition to my practice, I am an adjunct professor of business law. I get to travel around and speak about startup law and technology law and policy and all sorts of stuff. Prior to um, being a professor and opening the practice, I was chief legislative counsel for a member of the US House, and I handled intellectual property policy and got to work on some business policy and some other cool stuff. So, the entrepreneurial community, startups, technology, IP, all of that kind of stuff is stuff that I've interacted with for more than a decade at this point, from a variety of capacities. And I've seen pretty much everything in the book. I just had a client text me the other day and say, this is probably a stupid question, but, and then he screenshot it and put it on his social media. And I said to him, there are no stupid questions at this point. Honestly, the only stupid question is the one that you don't ask me, because I guarantee that's going to be the one that screws you 100%. So yeah, I get to work with entrepreneurs every day and it's awesome. I love it.
Yes. And tell me, okay, so you were talking about being like legal counsel and involved with the US House. Like, how does everything going on with the elections and DC? I know you probably get this a lot. I mean, I see it in your eyes, but I just think that's so fascinating because like this was like your wheelhouse for a while. So like,
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a surreal day, not to, January 6th especially was a surreal day, not to get too deep into the weeds, but I worked in the US House. I've been in the congressional chambers. My office building was right maybe 10 steps away from where they found one of the IEDs. And I just seeing everything that happened was really emotional because that level of terrorism domestically, I think we mentally disassociate from that as a reality so much. That's part of our kind of privilege of growing up in the United States. And I always used to say that if I was having a bad day, all I had to do was walk through the actual congressional, floor and the chambers and statuary hall and all of that. And even if I was just like taking a Diet Coke somewhere or I was just wandering around, not doing anything important, there was a sense about just being in the building that made you feel like, history was being made and, important things were happening both for our country and for the world. And to see that really desecrated in the way that it was heartbreaking. But January 20th, I think, was a really uplifting and exciting day.
hey,
And oh man, what a great day! I was actually judging a accelerator thing for an organization that I mentor for that morning. And I felt so bad. I was talking to some of the other judges because someone was actually pitching during the inauguration. I was watching the inauguration. So afterwards, I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I'm sure he did a very good job, but I was not listening.
Jessica.
I feel
But you
bad
know
for
what?
that
I
guy.
feel like a lot of stuff was scheduled during the inauguration and people didn't even realize it because there was someone scheduled like for me to do a Clubhouse interview and I was like, this is a pretty classic, historical, legendary day.
I know.
We can talk about our Clubhouse interviews some other time.
Yes. We'll have to talk about, I need your expertise and knowledge on Clubhouse, because my Clubhouse, just like my TikTok, when I tried to venture into TikTok, was just, it's embarrassing to some extent. There are some platforms I firmly believe everyone naturally has a platform that kind of fits their personality and how they relate most easily, just naturally, without the help of someone awesome like you. But yeah, TikTok, I don't know that Clubhouse is that platform for me, but I guess we'll see. I know you've been killing it.
Girl, I'm having the time of my life, but I will definitely, I did like a whole 1 hour rant in one of my groups on Facebook Live, and then I uploaded it to YouTube. But I've learned so much more in this last week as well. So, I mean, I just keep learning every single week, but it's a phenomenal platform for networking. And I'm so happy that we're kind of like early adopters, because
Yeah.
if they let Android users in on it, we're not going to be able to network the way that we're networking right now. Like, I have literally seen, and so I go to all the rooms like Grant Cardone is in. I really like Grant.
Yeah.
He's super down to earth. He's been giving out advice. And I mean, this is a man that doesn't have to, right?
Yeah.
And he raised $15 million on Clubhouse. He promoted his entire new show on Discovery in Clubhouse, and it reached #1 on the Discovery Network. There was another girl that I was in the room with that I think she was having issues with her business, and everybody went and purchased from her in that moment. You know, there's charities that are raising money. I'm in a fashion, they call it the Fashion Breakfast Club. I try to go in there like twice a week, because I'm like the only marketer and publicist, and they just know the creative side. So I'm like, great,
Yeah.
I'm a rock star to you guys. So I go in there and I give them advice, but the host of the room sets it up to where you have to come in and say what you're working on during the week. He writes it down so that on Friday,
I love that.
you come back, he checks you and he
I
calls you
love
on
that.
stage and he's like, I want to know if that thing on Monday you said you're going to work on, you got done, and don't come up on my stage and lie.
That's awesome.
But
See, I've stumbled into some rooms with some people. Like I stumbled into a room the other day about kind of the future of legal technology and like how it impacts the legal system. And two of the guys speaking had founded this company called Atrium Legal, which had like a software component, and then there was a law firm component, and they ended up, I think, going under. But just like talking through that with some really interesting attorneys. And I thought that was really interesting, but yeah, I don't know. Some of the stuff on there, I just am like, what is this? And why are we doing this?
Don't be put off by the really crazy rooms. Just go into, like, I feel like I actually have followers that follow me now because they're like, you get all the good rooms. And it's like, it took weeks of me like getting rid of people so that I didn't get their stuff pushed to my feed and all that other crap. So yeah. But you'll get there. Give it like,
that's what I need. I need to watch more of your videos, or I will just go to one of your Clubhouse sessions.
Yeah.
At some point.
Well, I'll bring you to the stage, and then you'll be mad because then you'll be more of a speaker than a spectator. But
I love it. I love that aspect of it.
But speaking of, I want to talk to you because you have a new book coming out.
I do. I didn't mention that in my little bio. I should get better about that. This is why I need a publicist.
I'm excited.
Yes, I have a book. It is releasing on February 1st. It's called How Not to F It Up, Legal Basics for Entrepreneurs on the Go. And I'm super excited about it. It's, you know, the way I've been describing it, this is not new information. There are a lot of other business legal basic books out there, but what I've found and what I've seen in my practice over the years is that even attorneys with the best of intentions a lot of times still talk about the law in a way that's not accessible or that's not interesting. You know, I could have the best information in a book, but if I'm presenting it in a way that you're never going to get through it because you keep falling asleep, then I haven't really provided any value to you. So my goal was not to reinvent the wheel in terms of presenting new information, but really to present it in a way that makes you care about it and helps you to understand it so that you can actually use it. Because so frequently what I see is people misusing vocabulary and talking about concepts as if, colloquially they understand what that word means, but from an actual structural or legal perspective, they really don't understand the concept or the why behind it. So that's the aim, to hit a decent number of legal basic topics, and then make it fun, or at least not gonna put you to sleep when you read it. I don't know that I can guarantee fun, but it will hopefully not put you to sleep.
So you're gonna make all of our legal problems super sexy.
Yeah, that's a lawyer's guarantee, right? I'm like, I can't make it fun, but it will hopefully not put you to sleep, but I can't guarantee it. That's the most lawyer thing I've ever heard.
What's the sexiest area of law where entrepreneurs we're just not getting it right?
I actually just talked to a client about this yesterday. I think the two, or if I was going to pick one, the sexiest thing that entrepreneurs love to talk about but really legally get wrong, it's fundraising.
Ooh.
Everyone loves to talk about fundraising. And I think even more basic than that, and this is what I talked to a client about yesterday, even more basic than that is, granting ownership, shares, equity, options, all of that kind of stuff. That is something that I think people love to talk about. They love to say, oh, I'm hiring so-and-so and giving them equity, or I have a team of however many and they're getting this much equity. But the problem is
your Clubhouse topic. Duh.
Oh, the sexy thing? Oh my gosh.
Just how these entrepreneurs are misusing these terms. They talk about fundraising and in VC and all that stuff in Clubhouse all the time.
I know.
All the time.
And they just have no concept. I mean, entrepreneurs have no concept. Like, let's take a simple employment agreement where part of your consideration is going to be equity of some sort, so shares. I think I know entrepreneurs really underestimate how many different layers of regulations go into just that one transaction. You have to make sure you're in compliance with labor laws. So what I see often is people want to pay in equity with no cash,
right?
But they want these people to be employees. Right. Well, that's not going to work. There has to be some sort of, cash exchange. How are you meeting labor standards and minimum wage laws and all of those sorts of things? Are you, for both tax and labor purposes, appropriately qualifying them either as an employee or an independent contractor? Are you meeting the tax regulation standards for option plans? Like, there's literally, we have securities regulations issues. Like, people throw these things out and they just say, okay, well, I'm going to draft up a one-page agreement that says I'm going to give you this much equity over this period of time, blah, blah, blah. And, people get hit with so much unexpected liability, especially tax liability, if it's not structured right, and it just turns into a disaster. But it's sexy. Everyone loves to talk about it, right? They're just talking about it wrong. It's like when when you're talking to someone and they're talking about having sex, but you're like, you've never had sex. I can tell from the way you're talking about it. That's pretty much what this is like.
I almost said something. I was like, no, Leah, keep that to yourself. Keep that. But yeah, I find that very interesting because I remember when somebody approached me and they came to me with that option, and it was just kind of like, dang, that's a lot of time. And there was no cash exchanged. And it was just kind of like, well, you'll see your, sweat equity investment it'll realize itself in about 8 years. And I was
yeah. Well, and even minor differences between, are you actually granting them shares or are you granting them options? I mean, that's a really fundamental difference. Those are very different processes. There's secondary consideration that has to be taken into account. And most founders cannot have a even minimally, competent conversation about those things. And, I want founders to know what they're giving away. Know the value of your company, know the value of your uh, the equity that you're giving away. All of this kind of stuff is really important because you could be paying, a junior programmer $5 million worth of value. Are they really worth that? No, probably not.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me. I mean, it's no way comparable, but kind of reminds me of these musicians or these athletes that sign these contracts not knowing, or like, you know what? I'm going to take it back to this, where Meg the Stallion signed her contract and then she blew up and didn't realize that at the end of the day, she really didn't have any rights, and she made her record company so much money. And she said, at the time when they presented me the contract, I didn't have an attorney. Her mother was still living at the time. And she says, me and my mom went through it. And now she's this big rap superstar, her, Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, whatever. And she fought, having it amended online through social media. But it was like, yes, it was an egregious contract, but you didn't have an attorney review it to tell you what all you were giving away. So I kind of don't feel sorry for you.
Well, and that just happened in bridal. I cannot remember. I did a post about it and I cannot remember her name right now. I think Haley Page, maybe. I don't remember exactly. Yeah. But there was a wedding dress designer who got into a big dispute with the producers she was working with about what of her social was owned by her, what was owned by them, all sorts of stuff. And I think especially in the creative space, you see that so frequently because there's definitely a disparity in understanding and sophistication with a young artist or a young creative and, these big studios or these purchasers or, whatever it is. So it is really, and one thing that bridal designer did a whole video and she's very upset in the video, and what she says at the end is, if I learned one thing or if I could give one piece of advice to anyone, it would be make sure you have a lawyer review your contracts. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I mean, even if you can't pay a lawyer to edit it or you can't pay to have a lawyer on retainer all the time, like just paying the $100 or a couple $100, whatever it is, depending on the situation, to have someone review it, so at least you have a full understanding. You want to enter into a bad deal if you fully know what you're getting into. Go for it, man. That is the beauty of our contracting system, right? But there's a difference between knowingly entering into a really bad deal and not knowing that you are entering into a really bad deal and just kind of being at a disadvantage and a loss there. And even Dave Chappelle said the same thing.
I mean, but think about the magnitude of this when you're not taking these things into consideration and you don't know your legal rights and you're just kind of operating. This is why I always tie it back to PR, because I'm like, what if it does get out? What if we did enter into a really bad, I actually know of one right now where if it got out in the Dallas world, they're kind of ruthless. It would be bad. So I had to do a lot of work to try to keep things under wrap on some bad agreements that were entered into, on what was exchanged when so-and-so bought so-and-so from so-and-so. But a lot of people don't take that into consideration. You don't think of that as harming your personal brand or even a subset of PR, and it is.
Well, and having things kind of preemptively incorporated into your contracts that can address situations like morality and ethics or public relations of the other party, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, in our current culture, you don't what?
Behind you.
Oh, I know.
I was waving goodbye.
Back and forth all the time.
Your dog too. This is great.
Leaving. Oh, he's leaving now. Sorry. I actually think he's gonna go drop off food for one of his friends whose parents just died. So
oh no.
I'll give it to him, walk around the apartment. That's fine. Yeah, that's okay. But making sure that you have, and I wrote about this in Forbes a couple months ago, but making sure that you have provisions in your contract to say, if we're doing a collaboration and your brand just goes to shit because you do something real stupid, then I want my clients to have the legal option to distance themselves from you, because you've worked really hard to build up your brand and your reputation. and it's going to suck really badly. And I don't feel like the internet has a lot of grace for the nuances or legal technicalities of a contract. If your collaboration partner gets stuck in some really bad, a bad PR crisis, the conscious capitalism movement is expecting you to make a definitive kind of distancing statement. And a lot of times, if you're in a bad contract, you don't have the legal option to do that for a number of reasons. So making sure that you always have the legal options that you need to effectively protect your brand in any situation that may arise, I think, is the most prudent thing that can do. And ultimately, as it relates specifically to PR, my job is really to make your job as easy as possible, to make sure that you have every option on the table that you need to be able to do your job to the best of your ability. Because you're really going to be hampered if I didn't put a bunch of provisions in there, and now instead of having options 1 through 10, you only have options 1 through 2, right? Because your contract prohibits the rest of them.
Well, you guys can learn all of this and even more in her new book. I'm not going to give it all away because you need to get the book. But any other last tips, Jessica, or even if you say stuff that can scare people? I'd rather you scare me than have me out here thinking everything is roses the way I'm running business. Like, any other last takeaways you want to talk about?
I think the most important piece of basic information I can convey to any business owner is always be aware of who you're doing business with, and always document things. And, going into business with someone, legally going into business with someone, is really a marriage relationship for all intents and purposes. You are creating legal obligations to each other that you will have for the long term. And if one of y'all decides you want to walk away, it's not as easy as just kind of sending an email, wiping your hands, and being done with it. When you decide to formalize that relationship, you've moved your relationship from the dating to the marriage phase. So, if you're not able or willing to have the difficult conversations about what happens in the event of dispute, or what happens in the event something goes south in one of your personal lives, or y'all need to go separate ways for some reason, or any of that kind of stuff, if you're not willing to have those conversations at the front end, I guarantee that conversation is not going to get any easier to have after you've been in business together for a while. So, I think that single piece of advice could save so many business owners so much legal cost and just like energy and time and hassle.
I love it, Jessica. And I'm not going to allow you to sit up here and give everything away. I need you to tell us, when does the book come out? How can we get it? Because it reminds me of law school. Like when I had to get the little Black's Law Dictionary, and I carried it everywhere with me. It's still ratty, it's tattered, it still has my little highlight notes in it. So that's how I imagine your book. Like, we're going to carry it in our purses and in our backpacks and everywhere we go.
You were a better law student than I was, because I have a Black's Law Dictionary that is pristine because I don't think it has ever been
touched it.
Not one time.
Wait, but you made it all the way to the U.S. House. So what does that say?
Don't need Black's Law Dictionary to get there, apparently. Sorry to whoever wrote that, I guess. No, but I am super excited. And there is actually going to be, in every chapter, I break down the terms and give, informal definitions that I think are a little bit easier to understand for a layperson who may just have started a business or not be familiar with the law. So feel free to highlight away. It is officially being released February 1st. You can buy it on Amazon, both in the Kindle format and in paperback. I'm always more of a paperback person, so it was very important to me that be an option, because I do like to highlight and market my books.
I like to hold and smell and touch and highlight and write in my books, and then
I swear I retain it better.
Yeah, I do too. I can't do now I do have the Bible app on my phone where I go.
See, even my Bible, I still like to be able to mark it up.
I do too. I don't know why I lose my Bibles. Okay, that's
Some people say that that's sacrilegious. I feel like I'm judged for that sometimes, for like writing notes in my Bible.
I definitely would always write in my Bible, but
there you go. Someday someone will stumble upon all of them that you've lost.
Exactly. All the ones
gain
like
your
all the
wisdom.
Bibles Leah has lost over time, but she's kept track of all her other books. Like,
I
whoa.
love it. I know. I feel like my apartment condo space hates that I like physical books because it's just not conducive to my book addiction, but I just like to have them in front of me. I like to think of my apartment as like the Beauty and the Beast, like just a giant library filled with stuff that I forget's there and need to go and read.
That's me. Well, so many times I'm on calls and I always give book recommendations because I'm a nerd and I read everything.
I
And
love
just
it.
to have them right here and show people on Zoom, like, oh, this is the book, and then they order it right then. If I'm smart enough, I put the Amazon link in there so I can get
Yeah,
credit for showing you what to
I
get.
know.
But it's always better
See,
if I can just go
you
grab
can
it
do that
off
with mine.
the shelf. Girl, I'm about to pub the hell out of your book.
I love it. I love it. Get some, use that Amazon affiliate link. Get some,
Yes.
that's the way to do it.
Yes. So, well, thank you so much. We're going to
Thank
definitely get your
you.
book. Everybody's going to carry it around because it's going to be their new pocket buddy.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it. It's nice and bright, so you won't lose it, hopefully. That was important to me. I
And
was like, I want you to be able to see it in the dark.
right. Oh, we will. And it's right.
Yeah.
I mean, and for all you people like me that are old and your vision is just doing whatever the hell it wants, the letters are big enough for you to be able to see it. Okay.
No small print.
No.
It's like your end of term paper in college. At the end, I was just in 18-point font,
Oh, that's
just trying to clear it out.
so funny. Well, how can we
Thank you,
follow you
though.
on social? You want to follow?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at TX Startup Lawyer. You can find me on Clubhouse under the same name. Once I master that or become minimally competent in it. You can find me on LinkedIn under J Vittorio, so backslash J Vittorio, or you can just search Jessica Vittorio. It'll come up either way. And yeah, you can find me on Amazon if you type in my name or type in how not to F it up, F asterisk, asterisk, asterisk it up. There are a surprising number of books that use that abbreviated version of
I have some here.
profanity. I know.
I
I took some I took some cool vibes from people that had done it before me. So but yeah, you can find me on all those. On LinkedIn, I post a lot of videos. So, if you have follow-up questions about stuff that you read in the book, maybe I'll do some Clubhouse sessions where we can talk through stuff that's in there. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to take some Clubhouse inspiration from you at some point.
Yes, and I'm here for it. And if you ever want to co-host a room, you know who to look for. That would be me.
I do, because then more than one person will show up, which is what happened the last time that I hosted a room.
You know what? It's okay. You got to start somewhere. I mean, when I started my first one, there was maybe like in and out, maybe like 10 people. And I was like, oh, I was so bummed. I promoted this on social media. All these people said they were going to show up and then they didn't show up. But the people that needed the information, they were so grateful. So it serves its purpose.
Yeah. I love that perspective. You're totally right. It served its purpose. The people that needed the information got it. And now you're a pro and you can share that information with us.
There you go. See, that's why I bring you on, because you're my hype woman. Well, thank you for giving me your time today, Jessica. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Remember, the link to the book is going to be in the caption, or you can just go to Amazon and you can look it up on Amazon and you can buy it there. But let's support this amazing, amazing lawyer who supports all the startups and entrepreneurial, all the startups and all the businesses here, not just Dallas, but beyond. Okay, get the damn book. I'm going to have it. And it's gonna look like my Black's Law Dictionary. I'm actually probably gonna post a picture of that because I know people probably.
Yeah, now I want to see it. You tag yours and I'll tag mine, and we'll just see the complete difference.
Oh Lord! Well,
I love it.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
You guys like this episode? You know what you got to do. You need to subscribe. You also need to share. Tag your friends when you see it on social media, and rate and review. Okay. And reach out to Jessica. She's awesome. She's actually really friendly, and she's not going to do the whole, well, she may do the whole, I can't give you legal advice thing, but she actually gives you tips, things that
try to help
you. Exactly. And with that being said, we're all done, and I will see you guys next time.